Chapter 3. A Texas Tomboy. As far back as I can remember, I played with boys rather than girls, Babe once told a reporter. The girls did not play games that interested me. I preferred baseball, football, foot racing, and jumping with boys to hopscotch and jacks and dolls, which were about the only things girls did. I guess the habit of playing with boys made me too rough for the girls' games. Anyway, I found them too tame. Babe was no ordinary girl. Everyone recognized that. At David Crockett Junior High, her classmates admired her athletic skills and laughed at her jokes, but some of them felt that she really was too rough. We all liked Babe, Edwina Lockhart recalled. She was so good-humored. We were afraid of her, though. She would go around hitting us on the arms with her knuckles to make our muscles knot up into frogs. If some of the girls were afraid of her, some of the boys could not resist teasing and testing her. The boys in my homeroom continuously teased Mildred, thumped and hit her when going through the halls, said Lenora Blanche, Babe's homeroom teacher at Crockett. But that girl had a way of getting even out on the grounds. She would step on their heels and kick them. They didn't make anything off Mildred. The teacher who knew Babe best at Crockett was Ruby Gage, who was in charge of physical education and playground activities. We had intramural games between homerooms, and the homeroom with Mildred on its team had it made, she remembered. These games were very fiery and competitive. Babe could master any sport she wanted to, marbles, anything, you name it, and she could do it better than anybody else. When Babe entered Beaumont High School, she went out for every sport in sight. She won a swimming match sponsored by the YMCA, and with her classmate Lois Pee Wee Blanchett, easily captured the doubles crown in tennis. She was a member of the girls' baseball, volleyball, and golf teams, excelling at and reveling in every sport she tried. Her physical education teacher and coach at Beaumont High, a young woman named Beatrice Little, gave Babe her first formal training in several sports. Years later, Little remembered Babe Didrikson as a superb natural athlete. I saw possibly 12,000 young women over those years, she said. I observed them closely, and I trained a lot of them to be fine athletes. But there was never anyone in all those thousands who was anything like Babe. I never again saw the likes of her. Babe was blessed with a body that was perfect. I can still remember how her muscles flowed as she walked. She had a neuromuscular coordination that is very, very rare. Despite her skills, Babe did not at first win a place on the girls' basketball team, the Miss Royal Purples. They said I was too small, she wrote. I couldn't accept the idea that I wasn't good enough for the basketball team. I was determined to show everybody. She spent hours practicing, dribbling, pivoting, passing, shooting baskets, and she pestered the coach of the boys' team for advice. He took the time to help me, she wrote, because he could see I was interested. I'd say, Coach Dimmitt, tell those women I can play basketball. Babe was a born athlete, not a scholar. While she never flunked a course, she worked just hard enough to pass the minimum 3 courses required to stay eligible for the school teams. I took my studies seriously because I wanted to be a teacher, said her tennis partner, Pee Wee Blanchett. But Babe, well, she never had ideas like that about herself. She was sports, nothing but sports. Babe never had any choice but to be a great athlete. Babe eventually played on every girls' team at Beaumont High. She wanted to excel, said her friend Raymond Alford. She wanted to show you up. I think her motives were probably a lot like mine. I knew that winning in sports was the only way I'd ever be recognized. Babe and I were both from poor families. If you did not have a car or if you did not have money, you were unacceptable. Sports was a way of getting to be equal, and I think that's what carried Babe through and made her work so hard. There was no other way to get ahead except sports. Babe's single-minded devotion to sports set her apart from most of the other girls. There was an academic group and an athletic group among the girls, recalled Ruth Skurlock, her English teacher. Babe and her few friends in the athletic group wore denim skirts with pockets, socks like gym hose, and flat Oxford shoes. The others, the so-called society girls, wore their hair permanent waves. They wore silk stockings and high heels. They were the sissy girls to Babe. but they were in the overwhelming majority, and they were the leaders. It was terribly difficult for Babe to do what she wanted to do. Even in her own tough neighborhood, the other girls didn't like her because she was an athlete. Her very excellence at sports made her unacceptable to the other girls. She was an alien in her own land, believe me. The most popular girls at Beaumont belonged to a small select group called the Cacklers Club, which was dedicated to the support of Beaumont's male athletes. The Cacklers' motto was, "Athletes are our favorite boys," and the chief requirement for membership was good looks and a pleasing personality. Babe was never invited to belong to the Cacklers, and she never expected to be. She was more interested in being cheered than in cheering others. Besides, she never wore jewelry, hated makeup, and didn't care about fussy clothing. Babe was bucking society even then, said Ruth Skurlock. She was simply being herself. She really had no other choice, I suppose. But if Babe felt like an outsider, snubbed by the fashionable society girls and teased by some of the boys, she acted as though she couldn't care less. She was just sure of herself, said one classmate. She could do everything in athletics well, and she wasn't bashful about telling you about it. She certainly wasn't bashful about standing up for herself. Once she was challenged to a boxing match by Red Reynolds, the star halfback on the Royal Purple football team. "Go ahead, hit me as hard as you can," Reynolds taunted, sticking out his chin. "You can't hurt me." Babe took him at his word. She swung once, and Red dropped to the floor, senseless. "They were pouring water on me to clear the bells and birdies out of my head," he remembered. "That gal really gave me a KO." For the rest of his life, Reynolds bragged about how he had been knocked out by the famous Babe Didrikson. Babe loved pranks and practical jokes. Her cooking teacher remembered the time a big rat ran into the classroom. While everyone else fled shrieking to high places, Babe herded the rat into a corner with a broom and claimed that she had captured it in a box. She finally announced that the beast was gone. Then, as soon as everyone was back on the floor, she maneuvered the rat out of a corner where she had it corralled and started the panic all over again. Babe thought that her joke was hilarious. She could be boisterous and rowdy at times, the tough and tumble type, as a classmate put it. You couldn't win an argument with Babe, another schoolmate recalled. She'd sure tell you off, but she was also a funny and entertaining girl, outgoing and down to earth, with a steadfast sense of loyalty to those who became her friends. One of Babe's best friends at Beaumont High was her fellow athlete and teammate, Bea Smith. "I liked her very much," Bea remembered. "She was friendly, and she was confident and fun-loving. Babe was just unique. She was kind of cocky, it's true, but I guess she had every reason to be, because as far as sports went, she was outstanding." Babe finally made the varsity basketball squad in her junior year. She played forward, and from her first game, she was the team's high scorer, fast and aggressive on the court. "We were a terrific team," remembered Pee Wee Blanchett. "The boys wouldn't admit it, but they liked the girls' team to play the same nights as they did because we brought such big crowds. The Miss Royal Purples didn't know what losing was. We never believed we'd ever lose, and we never did." As the Miss Royal Purples traveled around the state, playing high school teams in other cities, sports writers began to take notice of Babe. Texas newspapers ran headlines like "Beaumont Girls Stars in Basketball Game" and "Beaumont Girls Stars Again." As a junior, Babe was named to both the All-City and All-State basketball squads. Early in 1930, Babe's team traveled to Houston, Texas to play the girls from Houston Heights High. Watching from the stands that rainy February evening was Colonel Melvin Jackson McCombs, manager of the women's athletic program at a big insurance company. McCombs was scouting for new players, and he could not take his eyes off Babe Didrikson as the cocky, confident teenager scored 26 points, leading the Miss Royal Purples to victory and a state championship.